Welcome back, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. And I'd say before I start on today's video, I'm going to apologise to those people that I promised the Slivers video. People were tuning in for the Slivers video. I would say I'm going to do the Slivers video. Don't worry. I'm just waiting for Commander Masters. Basically, I'm waiting for my Commander Masters to get the precon and that, so I can adjust the Slivers deck to make it the best possible, so I will be able to do it. But like, don't worry, it's going to be out in a couple of weeks anyway. So I'll be doing the Slivers as my next magic video. Anyway, today's video is going to be something different anyway, so I'm going to do this video. I said I wanted to put out a video, so I wanted to do a deck that I've already uploaded the list for on Moxfield. I mean, you say I'm going to do my Captain Sisay deck today, which is a green-white Legends based deck. For those that don't know Captain Sisay, I'll show you off in a minute. Also, before we get into today's video, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what I've discovered, because I normally recommend some product or some website effectively in each of my videos. So today's recommended thing is, I'm going to tell you, is commandersalt.com, which is a website basically, and it enables you to input your deck lists into it. And it gives your commander a rating basically on a 1 to a 10. So basically 10 being a CDH deck and like the other ones are somewhere in between. So it gives you a rating on what they rank it on the salty scale. It's based on, I don't really know how their ranking system works, but like basically it takes into account some of the cards in the deck. Anyway, you can input the list from Moxfield into it anyway, so I'll link the deck in Moxfield in the description. And say on commandersalt.com, this deck came out with a 7 out of 10. Anyway, so today's featured presentation is going to be Captain Sisay. So this was the original Captain Sisay. So it originally came out, and say this is the FTV version. So for Sisay, for those that don't know, so Sisay, this is the original Captain Sisay. Now there's Sisay Weatherlight Captain, which is probably more played nowadays. Anyway, I love Celestia, or green white as it's called now. I always refer to it as, I say, it's one of my favorite. It's my favorite color combination in Magic, and this is probably my favorite deck as well. I mean, you say this is Captain Sisay, so it's 2 a green and white for a 2/2, which is nothing fantastic on the stat line for a legendary creature, a human soldier. But its ability is what makes it shine. It's basically, it taps to search your library for a legendary card, reveal the card, and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your library, blah, blah, blah. So Sisay was the original captain of the Weatherlight in the story anyway. And as I say, some of the other Weatherlight crew are still in the storyline. Anyway, so this is Captain Sisay. I mean, say the basically why I would say this deck is a 7 and not any higher on the spectrum is probably due to the fact that it basically you're heavily reliant on this to win the game, because basically your deck is a selection of toolbox cards, and basically it not enabling you to have access to the best card each turn, which is what this enables, means your deck doesn't really function as well as it could be, because it comes from, you're basically shooting for your best card every turn, and you always normally have a selection of answers for everything. Anyway, people said, so Sisay is a relatively flexible commander. You can choose how you build the deck. Someone even said recently to me that you could probably play it with some of the newer Lord of the Rings cards, and you can play it as a Lord of the Rings kind of style as well, because there's a lot of cards from that are legendary in this. And it's worth bearing in mind, Sisay is search your library for a legendary. It doesn't have to be a creature, so it can get various things such as planeswalkers, etc. I have deliberately chosen to build this deck without planeswalkers, because I have an entire planeswalker deck as well. I mean, to say, so this is going to be Captain Sisay without any friends, so to speak. Anyway, so we'll start with the creatures. So they're basically the meat of the deck. So we'll get on with them. So they're basically, there's a set of Eldrazi. So we'll start with Emrakul, the Promised End. This is 13 mana for 13/13. It's the largest legal Eldrazi in Commander. It's basically, I love the artwork on it with the thing. It reminds me, it's very H.P. Lovecraft, it feels like, and in generally they do feel very H.P. Lovecraft, this one. I mean, you say some of the old Eldrazi are getting reprinted and everything, and there'll even be some few new ones in the one. There's an Eldrazi Commander deck coming out anyway, so we'll see what's in that. Anyway, so the Emrakul has it costs 1 less for each card type in your cards in your graveyard, which it's not going to be hugely thing, but you can get a discount on it. We're playing Eye of Ugin and stuff, and you can tutor for this. But like when you cast Emrakul, you gain control of target opponent during the player's next turn. So effectively, it mind slavers them basically. So it's effectively like a mind slaver that you can tutor for. It has flying, trample, and protection, for instance. And basically, if any opponent looks like they're going to combo off or something, because you don't have that various interaction for combos and stuff, you can probably gain control of their board and hopefully deal with most of the problems. So that's Emrakul, the Promised End, or the legal Emrakul. So this is one of the best Eldrazi. This is Ulmog, the Ceaseless Hunter. So this is basically like a 10 mana 10/10. It's basically when you cast, exile 2 target permanents, so they can be anything. It deals with lands, enchantments, very versatile. It's indestructible. When he attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards of her library. Very, very, very versatile. And most of the Eldrazi are cast triggers, so basically it doesn't matter if they resolve. They basically you get the cast trigger regardless. And then we go on to the original Eldrazi. So we have Kozilek, the Butcher of Truth. So he's a 12/12 for 10 is when you cast draw 4 cards. It has Annihilator 4, and it has the Eldrazi clause. When he goes, he gets shuffled. And then the original Ulmog, so the Infinite Guy, 11 mana 10/10 is when you cast destroy target. Destroy target permanent. It's an Annihilator. So Annihilator, I only explain Annihilator for those that don't know, because some people getting into the game more recently won't probably understand what Annihilator is. This is why the Eldrazi are hated as such, because they're basically, it's an ability that means that when the creature attacks, defending player sacks X permanents. The thing and it gets progressively harder and harder for them to be dealt with, because you have less and less permanents, and eventually they end up with not normally many permanents on the thing, and it's indestructible again. Right, those are the colourless creatures. Now we move on to the multicolour creatures. I mean, you say legendary creatures, but though people basically, they're above average power level to start with, because they're basically designed that you can only basically have one of each in play at a time. So they're above average power level and everything. So we start with... So this is Sigurd, a host of herons. There's quite a few angels in the deck. I'll show you the other angels in a minute. So this is Sigurd, a host of herons. For 2 green, white, for a 5/5. It's flying and hexproof. It spells and abilities your opponent's control can't cause you to sacrifice permanents, so it's useful if people have various things like Grave Pact and that kind of style of effect to make you sacrifice your permanents. Right, and we've got Gaddock Teague. So this is the Modern Masters version. So this is green and white for a 2/2. It's a legendary creature. It's a human Kifkin. Or as you say, there aren't many Kifkin. The thing, they don't really do that many. Maybe when they go back to Lorwyn or something, there might be some more. Anyway, so non-creature spells with converted mana cost 4 or greater can't be cast. I mean, you said we'll show you in a minute. There are not many cards with more than 4 or more greater cost in this deck anyway, and they're mostly non-creatures. Oh, no, sorry, they're mostly creatures. I lie. And it's non-creature spells with X can't be cast. Then we have some protection. So this is Trostani. So this is 3 green and a white for a 1/4. It's other creature. It has an anthem. So it's other creatures you control get +1/+1. When it enters the battlefield, make 2 1/1 white human creature tokens with lifelink. The reason why I'm playing it is the last ability. It's like a homeward path that you can sort of tutor for. It's at the beginning of your end step. Each player gains control of all creatures they control. So it means that your creatures, if they get stole, you get control back of them. So that's why mainly I play it. And then we've got the original Trostani, which has got the nice Celestia, the guild symbol, which is like a little tree, you can see. This is a 4/1. I remember playing this in Standard. I remember playing this on like turn 4, either 3 or 4, into like Advent of the Worm and stuff like that, and then stuff like populating the tokens. So Trostani is a green, white for a 2/5. It's whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to the toughness, and it has 1 a green and a white, which is populate. So it's make a token That's a copy of creature token you control. There's a few ways to make tokens, not very many, but the thing. And one of my favourite cards in Magic, which is Dramoka. So it's 4 green and a white for a 5/7 dragon. Its Dramoka can't be countered. It has got flying and life, and your opponents can't cast spells during your turn, which is quite good, as it enables you to basically all your key spells will go through basically unopposed. Right, so those are the multicolored creatures. Now we'll go on to the white section of creatures. So there's going to be quite a lot of angels in this. So we'll start with the big one. So we've got Avacyn, Angel of Hope. So this is one of the best white cards in Commander, or one of the best white creatures anyway, because it's quite expensive, but once it gets into play, the amount of impact it has on the board is quite a lot. It's normally answer or lose kind of card. So Avacyn is a 5 and triple white for an 8/8 flying and vigilance creature. It's indestructible, and other permanents you control are indestructible, so it counts lands, the lot, so it protects nearly everything. Then we've got Raya, Dawnbringer. So this is a promo one, so it has the weird kind of foiling on it, and it's like, so this was it at, what's it, 10th? I think it was a 10th edition promo or something, I can't quite remember. 10th as opposed to M10. Anyway, this is Rare Dawnbringer. This is another large angel. It's a 6 and triple white. And then you said these white cards with the high pips are quite useful because you're playing Nick Frost, and you know Nick Frost will generate shed loads of mana with the pips, and it can convert it into green if you need a minute. So it's at the beginning of your upkeep, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to play to the battlefield. So that's good. Then we have more hate. So it's Limvala, Keeper of Silence for 2 white and a white for a 3/4. This stops of activated abilities of creatures your opponents control. And we've got Lyra. So this is basically like a Baneslayer Angel. So this is like a Baneslayer Angel, but like it's more like a Baneslayer Angel Plus, because Baneslayer Angel, this wasn't good enough. This is like a Baneslayer Angel, other than the fact is this, in addition to the Baneslayer bits, it has first strike, flying and lifelink, and its other creatures you control get +1/+1 lifelink, as opposed to the Baneslayer Angel, which was more or less just a 5/5 with some other abilities. This is another good one. This is Charlotte, Voice of Plenty. This is the promo copy with the date stamp on it. For a 3/4, it's flying. I played this in Standard as well. I played it in a green-white kind of token deck as well. So this is flying. You planeswalkers you control and other creatures you control have hexproof. And it has 6 mana, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Then we've got, I might get these out of the sleeve actually, because so these are the FTV ones. So you've got Gisela, the Broken Blade, for 2 white and a white for a 4/3. So this, for those that don't know, it's got flying, first strike and lifelink, but it has an ability. So this is the FTV printing. As I say, the people, whether you like the FTVs or not, the foiling on them's not great. Anyway, they don't really do them now anyway. So this has an additional ability. So it's the beginning of your end step. If you both own and control this, and a creature named Brune of Fading Light, exile them, and you make Brizella, which is like a meld between two things. Let's see if I can get it out of the sleeve now. Sorry for that. Alright, so that's basically the Brizella part 1. I'll see if I can get the other bit out now of the other one. So before we go, so we've got, that's the other bit. That's Brune of the Fading Light for 5 and 7 for 5/7. This is when you cast it, return another target angel or human creature from your graveyard to the battlefield from flying and vigilance. And by the power of the thing, I should have probably done this before, I think. I didn't think about taking them out. Alright, so now we've got that bit. And then this is probably not going to come out extremely well on the camera because of the glare, but I think you can get the gist of it from there. So that's Brizella, Voice of Nightmares. It's a 9/10. It's an Eldrazi Angel. It's a really it's an interesting way. It's got flying, first strike, vigilance, and lifelink, and your opponents can't cast spells with converted mana cost 3 or less. So it stops all their small game things, and it's like a 9/10. Anyway, pretty cool, and you can shoot it for it. Alright, I'll put those back. Now we go on to some other angels. So we've got a Chromo, Angel of Wrath. So that was one of the thing. This is like 8 mana again. Yeah, there's a lot of expensive cards in this deck, but you can cheat them into play and stuff like this. So this is basically old school Chromo. So it's got a lot of keywords. It's got flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haze, prop, black, and red. So that's basically, the keywords are quite useful as you're playing stuff like Odric and that, which can grant all the keywords to the other creatures. Then we've got something that's probably forgotten. So we've got Mangara of Condor. So this is a 1/1 on a 1 and white body. So I think technically we're into the human section because like I've divided them by creature type, because I like my tribal kind of synergies and stuff like that. Anyway, so this is Mangara. So it's remove Mangara of Condor and target permanent from the game, so it's like a one-off exile thing. But you can give this haste and do it at instant speed. Anyway, it's an answer to something and it will exile it. Then we go to Odric, or Captain No Blocks. He's 2 white for a 3/4. With first strike, it's basically when he and at least 3 other creatures attack, you can choose which creatures block. So basically no blocks generally. Then we go on to a Lord of the Rings card. So this was one of the newest additions to the deck. It's doing reasonably well at the moment. Anyway, so this is 3 mana 3/3 with Vigilance. It's whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter the spell. And the main reason why it's played is its protection for your creatures. It's Sack Boromir. Creatures you control gain indestructible, and ring tempts you. So I think I might need to put a ring in this deck. I haven't done it. Anyway, that's that. Then we go Thalia. I'll try and speed up. I aim to do them in about 30 minutes, but I do like showing the cards. This is another foil printing, so pick your favourite printing. This card's been printing loads of times now. So it's 2/1 first strike, non-creature spells, cost 1 more to cast. Then we've got another one, an old school one. So we've got Hixus. This is a 3 white and a white for a 4/4. It has flash, so it's whenever a creature deals combat damage to you. If Hixus entered the battlefield this turn, exile the creature until Hixus leaves the battlefield. So it's an instant speed like a combat trick kind of thing. Then we've got Odric, the classic one, no need to explain. It grants nearly all the abilities to all your creatures. And it's the beginning of each combat. Not even yours, it's just every combat. Then we go Thalia. Pick your favourite. This is another foil printing. So this is this one is, I believe it's in Italian, I believe. So this is Thalia. It's 3/2 for a thing. It's got first strike and it's creatures and non-basics and opponent controls enter the battlefield tapped. And we've got another foreign card. So it's the white dragon. It's Yosai the falling. What was it? I can't remember what it is. It's the white dragon anyway. Yosai something star, and it's basically a 5 mana 5/5. 6 mana 5/5 with flying, and it's when it is put into the graveyard. It taps down 5 permanents the opponent control, and they don't untap during their untap step. Then we've got Lieutenant Kurtar. So this is a white for 2/2. So this is 1 and sacrifice it, remove target attacking creature from the game. Useful. Then we've got Commander Isha. So this is useful if you're getting attacked by a large creature that doesn't have any form of like trample kind of ability, and it's all useful against flyers as well, so it has protection from creatures. And we've got one of the more tutored full cards in the deck. We've got Myojin of the Cleansing Fire. So normally these won't be much play outside various things, but like in this deck they're really good. This is just like a board wipe you can tutor for. It's 8 mana. But basically you have to hard cast this from your hand, otherwise you won't get the thing, because it basically needs to be played from your hand to get the divinity counter. Basically it comes in with a divinity counter, and basically you can remove the counter to basically destroy each other creature on the board, and you can play Avacyn and that to give your creatures indestructible and that anyway. So this is another Wrath you can shoot for. So this is Magita the Lion. It's from the Rebels block, so it's masks. It's basically 2 white, discard 2 cards, destroy other creatures except for it. Those creatures can't be regenerated. Then you've got Hate for artifacts. You've got Kataki. So it's all artifacts have upkeep 1, 2/1. Then we've got Oketra. So Oketra is a 3 white for 3/6. It has double strike. It's when you cast a creature spell, which is the bulk of the deck. Create a 4/4 black zombie creature token with vigilance. I don't think I've got around to putting those tokens in it. Anyway, the Moxfield list will tell you all the tokens you need anyway. It's when it dies or is put into exile from the battlefield, you may put it 3rd from top. Then we've got one of the newest additions, so we've got LS, Mother of the Machine. This is just a good card, people. It's very good. You can have it as a commander if you want, and various people do, but it's just good in decks as well. And we say it's really good in this deck as well. You can tutor for it. It's a 4 and a white for a 4/7. Vigilance, and if a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability, the ability triggers an additional time, and it basically permanents entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger if on opponent's side. Sorry, I worded that a bit badly, but there we go. And then we've got Elish Norn Grand Cenobite, or the original Elish Norn. So this is 5 a white for 4/7. It has Vigilance. Other creatures you control are +2/+2, and creatures your opponents control -2/-2. So it's really good against token-based strategies and various other things of that equivalent. Right, so we're on to the green creatures now. We're nearly there. When you say the bulk of the creatures thing. So we're going to start with Nylea. So this isn't... well, I've put it in the creatures section, but like whether you count it as a creature or not is... Anyway, this is Nylea. So basically, Nylea is one of the gods. So it is a 6/6 for 4. The thing is, it's not on a creature unless your devotion is less than 5. It basically means you have to have X pips of the thing in play to have it. It basically is indestructible. It gives other creatures you control trample, and then it's 3 and a green for target creature +2/+2 until the end of turn. So it's mainly to give things trample, to be honest. Then we've got Hate for Artifacts, so it's Glister, so this is an old school one for them. This is from the original Mirrodin. This was one of the best cards in Limited for this. It was just really good. So it's 2 green and green for a 3/2 with First Strike. And it's tap, destroy target artifact if its converted mana cost is equal or less to the amount of mana in your pool. I'll give you a hint of what I was saying. You can put a lot of mana into your mana pool thing, so we'll leave you in suspense of what you think this is. So this is better than you think it is. This is a 9 mana 8/8, the Myojin of the Life's Web. This Myojin is the same as the other one. It's indestructible as long as it has a counter. And there's ways to get additional counters on it as well. But as I say, the reason why this is played, it's because it enables you to play basically 9 mana and then be able to play out your entire hand. And as long as you've got other ways in play to stop the thing being countered at the... or you've got Dromoka in play, for instance, or people aren't going to have interaction for it, you're basically just going to be able to dump the thing. And bear in mind, you see, the Myojin is instant speed. You can remove the counter at instant speed to basically just play out most of the creatures in your hand and put them into play, and suddenly you have a huge board. And you say that's Myojin of Life's Web. Then we've got Multani. So this is basically just an XX, and X's power is equal to the total number of cards in all players' hands. But it has, effectively, it can't be targeted on it. So Multani can't be targeted with spells or abilities. And we've got Vaughnclicks, the old school Vaughnclicks. You can pick another thing. Vaughnclicks has seen a reprint recently. This is the one I've got in this deck. I've got other ones in other decks. So it's 8 mana for a 7/6 with trample. It's when you tap a land for mana. Add an additional 1 mana of any type the land could produce. And it's whenever opponent taps a land for mana, the land doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. And then we've got Thrun. I mean, he said this is a 4/4 for 4. Can't be countered. Can't be targeted with spells or abilities your opponents control, and 1 and a green regenerate. I mean, I think this only just makes the cut for the deck, for me personally. I mean, so I'll probably be dropping it soon if I find something better for it. Okay, then we've got Ariashi. So these were part of a cycle. So this is the... And this is also in my X spells deck as well. So for those that don't think, I also did an X spell video as well. It's just check out, scroll through the channel list, and it will give it to you. I mean, all these videos are linked in a playlist anyway. It all will be. And this is Ariashi for 5/5 for 5. It has X and tap, deals X damage to target creature with flying or channel X. Green. Discard Ariashi, deals X damage to each creature with flying. So that if there's a load of flyers that are bothering you, and you say, do you think they have a counter spell, you can basically tutor for this and then channel it, and then you say they can't really counter it as it's an ability. They need another kind of stifle kind of effect. And this is the key questing beast. So this is what I play. This is from the original Eldraine. So we said we're going back there soon, so maybe they'll reprint this card, or like maybe they won't. I don't know. You say, what do you think? Do you think they'll reprint QB? And we say QB is a 4/4 for 4. It has Vigilance, Death Touch, and Haste. Normally, most of these, you're going to miss at least one of these abilities. It can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Its combat damage will be dealt by creatures you control, can't be prevented. And whenever Questing Beast deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target planeswalker that player controls. If you can hear my dog, she's probably outside. She's out there somewhere. Oh, looks like she's eating. She's coming in. You coming in, Soph? She's having something to eat. She's having a dentist stick. Oh, she's there. Yeah, alright, I'll carry on. And we said this is Kamal, Fist of Corrosa. So Kamal was a red card, and then he kind of got shifted between a barbarian to like a druid in the storyline. Anyway, Kamal is a 4 green for a 4/3. I mean, you say this basically animates lands into 1/1 creatures, and then is 2/3, 2 green for creatures you control, +3/+3 and trample into end of turn. The reason why you play it, other than the overrun effect, is you can basically animate the lands when Elesh Norn is in play, and you can basically just kill all people's land. Anyway, so now we carry on. So we've got Azusa Lost but Seeking, so 2 and a green for 1/2. So you may play 2 additional lands on each of your turns. Enough said. Then we've got Silvos. This is just the large thing. It's 6 mana for 3 green. This is the foil printing. For an 8/5 with trample on it as green regenerate. It's just large. And then we've got Ronas, which is one of the other ones. I mean, most of the gods are quite good. I mean, say I play the ones I can. So this is a 5/5. It's whenever Ronas enters the battlefield, double the power of each other creature you control until the end of turn. The creatures gain vigilance until end of turn. And combined with Elesh Norn and stuff like, sorry, not Elesh Norn, I mean the other Elesh, the double the ETBs, means you can get quite a big board quite quickly. So this is Selvala, Heart of the Wild. So this is not as good as it used to be, because you used to be able to, this deck used to be better than it was when it used to have Paradox Engine was legal. So you used to be able to drop your entire deck into play with this card. Paradox Engine and another card that I can't remember. So there's 1 a green for whenever another creature enters the battlefield, its controller may draw a card if its power is greater than each other creature's power. So that means if you have the largest thing, you draw a card. It has green, tap, add X mana in any combination of colours to your mana pool where it's its greatest power, so it generates a lot of mana. Not as good as it used to be though when Paradox Engine was out, because you just went infinite and you could play every creature in your deck. I think you can play every spell in your deck, to be honest. I mean, this is Zopindra, one of the new kind of like Praetor-like things. So this is a 7 mana, 4/6 with reach. It's the beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control. It also has the Fricks in second 2 other creatures put an indestructible counter on it. Very good. Then we got the Vaughn-Clicks. So we've got this version. This is the Kaldheim Vaughn-Clicks. Trample and Haste. If you would put 1 or more counters on a permanent or player, put twice that many counters. If an opponent would put 1 or more counters on a permanent, put half as many. So it's good against counting various strategies. It's good against stuff like Planeswalkers, like Infect kind of games. This is Reiki, History of Kamigawa, so it's one of the best card draw things in the deck. It's 2 and a green. It's whenever you play a legendary spell, draw a card. So thanks to Jamie, which is one of my channel members, who donated me this card in foil. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I hope you're watching this video, Jamie. Right, so now we move on to Goreclaw, which is Terra Qualsimasa. 3 and a green for 4/3 bear. He's also in quite a few of my other decks as well. It's creature spells that you cast with power 4 or greater cost 2 less to cast, which is most of the thing. It's whenever he attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets +1/+1 and gains trample until end of turn. He's also in my bear deck as well. I say I'll feature the bear deck at some point. I mean, you say, oh, I'm working my way through. I've got like 42, I think it is, decks, and I'm trying to do 1 a month on these anyway. Alright, so now we move on to Surak, the Hunt Caller. So 2 and a green for 5/4. It's formidable. So at the beginning of combat on your turn, if creatures you control have power 8 or greater, target creature you control gains haste until end of turn. It's also worth Bear in mind, you can give Sisay haste and use its ability the turn it comes in if you have that out, because you can give it haste in the combat step. And you said this is just large. This is Multani, another Multani. There's a few Multanis. This is a 4 green for a... It's basically XX for each land you control, each land in your graveyard. It has the 1 reach and trample, and it has 1 in a green. Return 2 lands you control to the hand to return Multani from graveyard to hand, which is worth doing on lands that tap for multiple mana. Or you can return the channel lands if you're playing the channel lands and you basically don't need the mana and you'd rather have it as a spell. You can use them to bounce those and do that. Right, those are all the creatures. Let's go on to we'll do the spell first because there's only 1 spell in the deck. So this was basically what the best thing this set Dominaria gave to this was Urza's Ruinous Blast. There's 4 and a white for a legendary sorcery, and it's basically you may cast a legendary sorcery only if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. But like you say, that's not a difficult with this thing. It's basically X are all non-land permanents that aren't legendary, which is really good. And you can basically use this in conjunction with the bow that I will show you in a minute to replay this. Right, so that's the spell. So let's do the enchantments next. So there's the enchantments. So this is the original one, Day of Destiny. So this is basically original Kamigawa, which is where quite a few of these cards originate from. So this is a legendary enchantment. It's legendary creatures you control get +2/+2. Okay, and it's newer one that's like it. So this is Flowering of the White Tree, which came out in Lord of the Rings. So this is white and a white for a legendary enchantment. It's legendary creatures you control get +2/+1 and have ward 1, and non-legendary creatures you control get +1/+1. I think that's a new good little addition to the deck. And then we'll do the artifacts. So we'll start with the coloured ones. So this is Bow of Nylea. So this is worth bearing in mind. This is a good green recursion tool. It's also an enchantment as well. So it's 1 a green and a green for a legendary enchantment artifact. It's attacking creatures you control have Death Touch, which is really good, especially if they have trample and various things. So this is 1 and a green, tap, choose 1, put a +1/+1 on target creature. Bow of Nylea deals 2 damage to target creature with flying, or you gain 3 life, or put up to 4 target cards from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. That's the most common thing you're going to activate it for is you're going to put something from your graveyard that's already gone there and put them on the bottom, and then you can choose it for them back, and you have the general shuffles. Then we have the obvious one, so the Great Henge. So this should be played in nearly all green decks. This is a really good card for those that have it. I mean, so it kind of got a reprint in Lord of the Rings as whatever they call it now, but like it's still fairly expensive and that's not that accessible. But like maybe they'll reprint it in Eldraine or something. Anyway, the Henge, for those that don't know, is a 7 a green legendary artifact that costs less where X is the greatest, X less where X is the greatest power. So this is basically going to cost like green most of the time in this. It taps for green, you gain 2 life. It's where a non-token creature you control enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 it and draw a card. So that's really good. Then we go on to the artifacts. So we'll do the thing. We're nearly there. I aimed for about half an hour. And this is a Chroma's Memorial. So basically this turns nearly all your things into a Chroma's effect. So this is 7 mana. For a legendary artifact, its creatures you control have flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, proc from black and red. So it's a good way to give your things protection from a lot of things. And against the right deck, it's a really good thing to tutor for. Then we've got some slightly more things that you might not have seen. So we've got Hero's Podium. This is basically like it's comparable to something like a coat of arms, but not. It's one sided. This is a 5 mana legendary artifact. It's each legendary creature you control gets +1/+1 for each legendary creature you control, so it's going to have loads of them, so it's like a big coat of arms effect. It all has the X mana. Look at top X cards of your library, remove your legendary creature from among them, put the rest on the bottom. Not very useful, but the static thing's quite good. Then we go on to the one equipment I play with, Helm of the Host. This is just so we know what Helm of the Host does. It's a 4 mana legendary artifact equipment, basically, and it's at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature, except it isn't if it's legendary, it isn't legendary, then the token gains haste. So it's good on loads of large things. Right, then we got Fran Temple Gateway, which enables you to play at a bit more instant speed if you're worried about committing to the board. So it's 4 mana for an artifact. It's 4 to tap. You may put a historic permanent from your card onto the battlefield. It's an instant speed. And we got the mana rocks. So we got the obvious one. We got Mox Amber. So it's basically effectively just like a free land, effectively, that it doesn't count towards your land slot. So it's 0 mana. Taps for mana of any colour amongst legendary creatures and planeswalkers. That's fine. And then we've got the ubiquitous one. We've got Soul Ring. So it doesn't need explaining. And then we just move on to the land to finish out the video. So there's the normal. We've got the normal, the 36 lands. So what I say, as I say normally with these kind of videos, is that if you play the lands you have, if you don't have all the lands, don't worry about it. Play what you have, and you can always improve at some point. This deck has practically the optimal mana basis for me, though, because I have nearly all of them. Anyway, as I say, we'll see where the bulk of the value comes from in a minute. So you've got original dual land. You have that's the Savannah. So if you don't have a Savannah, I recommend playing some other dual land. Anyway, if you have the Savannah, play it. I mean, they're quite expensive now. I mean, I don't think it's the most expensive of the duals, but like, it's expensive. And say the bulk of the value in this deck comes from this thing. I think it's about 2,500 of total value. I mean, it'll be in the Moxfield list anyway, and you say the bulk of the value comes from 2 cards, and they're both lands. This is Temple Garden, so this was a recent pickup. This is the shock land. So this is the one from the recent Unfinity, or it's not really that recent set now. And you say one of my thing, big up to the Gamers Guild, because I got this from Booster. They gave out free when the event they tried to host didn't fire, and they gave out a prize pack to each person. And then you say I got this in it, and I was very happy. There's this shock land, and we got the buddy, sorry, not the buddy land, the multiplier land, so which originates from Battle Bond. So I've got the promo version of that. And then we've got the brush land, pain land. I mean, most of these don't need the explanation anyway. So we've got Command Town. Original fetch lands, I prefer the art on them generally than the new ones. Got Filter land, woody based in. Sun Petal Grove. Then we've got one utility land that that's more or less the only land other than the dual kind of things that you can't tutor for. It's basically a Gavoni Township. It's in practically all my Celestia decks, and even some of the 3-color ones, to be honest. It's 2, it taps for 1 mana, and it's got 2 green and white, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. And there's a couple of counter synergies in the deck. Now, so we go to the old school lands. So these are the original Kamigawa lands. And big up to my boy Anthony at Red Banner Madness, who's trying to collect the newer Kamigawa set. I mean, you say good luck to Anthony, and say check out Red Banner Madness. As I say, I've linked it before. If you like a similar kind of style of videos, and he has an eBay store, and he tries and sells what he opens, and it does these kind of pack opening style of videos. Anyway, so it's Gandry Castle. It's a legendary land, and it taps for white and tap to prevent the next 2 damage that will be dealt to target legendary creature this turn. Then we've got the green one, so that's not a great one, but it's basically it's the same as the white one. It basically is a green and a tap to target legendary creature, gets +1/+1, and it is worth bearing in mind these will do other legendary creatures if you want to play a bit more politically. Right, so now we go on to the new Kamigawa, Neon Dynasty Kamigawa cards. So this is Gandra's Seat of the Empire. So these have the channel abilities: 2 and a white, discard it, deal 4 damage, target attacking or blocking creature. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you can control. So that's probably going to cost 1 mana. That's the full art one. Then we've got Besieger. So that's not the full art one. I'd rather have the full art one, but I believe this was the only one I opened, and it came out of one of the little promo pack things. So everyone knows what Besieger does. It's channel 1 and green, discard. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land and opponent controls. That player may search their library for a land with a basic land type, put it onto the battlefield. This ability costs 1 less for each legendary creature you control. And now the big one for those that know. So this is Guy's Cradle. So this is one of the most expensive cards I own. And so I might do a video on. Yeah, I probably will do that at some point anyway. It's probably going to be like something like the top 15 cards I own in terms of cost or something. I might do that. I'm going to do that for my video games as well. So I just thought I might do that for Magic cards. Anyway, for those that don't know, so this is on the reserve list. This card is really expensive. I think it was as high as 1,000 at one point. Anyway, it might be slightly lower now, but this one's pretty much in mint condition. And it's normally the land you shoot it for. It's taps for green for each creature you control, which is pretty useful. It gives you a huge mana boost. The only drawback is if you don't have many creatures, it doesn't tap for mana. But like you could play the Maya thing now that means your land tap for mana anyway. Anyway, so say and we got the new Lord of the Rings one. So I've got the full arts in these. These weren't very expensive anyway. So this is one of the newest editions. So these Lord of the Rings Cycle of Land enter the battlefield tapped unless you control a legendary creature. So in this deck, they're coming in untapped all the time. Anyway, so the additional thing, other than tapping for green, is 1 and a green. Tap an untapped creature you control, create a food. Then we've got Minas Tirith, the white one in the cycle. So I think they all look very cool in these style full art treatment anyway. And when you say most of these lands are quite cool. I like the green, the white, and the blue. I don't think the red and the black are as interesting as these ones, but I feel these ones are all very good anyway. So this one is 1 and a white, tap, draw a card, activate only if you attack with 2 or more creatures this turn. Then we got Yavimir Hollow. So this is these are onto effectively what a colourless land. So this is green, regenerate target creature, not even legendaries. It regenerates all things. I like the little like hippo thing in the background, the hippo thing, and the artwork I quite like. Then we've got Nickfoss, doesn't really need explaining. Then we've got Core Haven, which is worth explaining. It's basically it's a bit like a Maze of Ith, other than it taps for colourless mana, or 1 and a white, prevent all combat damage that will be dealt by target attacking creature this turn. Then we've got Eye of Ugin, which is the basically reduces the cost of Eldrazi and can tutor for them. Then we've got the basics. So I've used Battle for Zendikar lands. So there's 1 plains, 2 plains, 3. I'll just count them. Pick your favourite artwork. They're loads of full art land. They used to be special, but now they're many of them. Anyway, pick your favourite. So there's 8 of those. And then we've got the forests. So I've gone for Battle for Zendikar. Again, some of these are foil. I just try and get a mix of them. 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 of those. Alright, so that was my Captain Sisay deck. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Anyway, so next time I will do the Sliver deck, I promise. Anyway, it's only going to be a couple of weeks. I'm just trying to do it as best as I can, and I'd rather wait and do it better than I can without doing it and changing a lot of cards later. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that. I mean, you say tune in again next month. I hope to see you again. I mean, you say also coming, I'm going to do another of cracking packs effectively, but I'm going to do something a bit different. So it's not necessarily going to be Magic based. It's going to be, because I play Hearthstone and other games as well. So it's going to be a similar style of video to those ones, other than I'm going to crack packs from the new Titan set. If I can work out how best to show it on camera. If I can manage to do that, I will. Anyway, hopefully I'll see you next month. Thanks very much. Like, comment and subscribe. See you again soon. Ciao. Bye.